The Pittsburgh Steelers shocked Steelers Nation on Tuesday when they announced the firing of offensive coordinator Matt Canada, and Mike Tomlin talked just hours afterwards. And walking away from that press conference, I mean, there was plenty of insight, plenty to take away. There were two things that really stood out. One of them has to do with the quarterback. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Like I said, the Pittsburgh Steelers relieved Matt Canada of his duties as offensive coordinator. The way that everything went down, at least from what I have heard, is that Matt Canada showed up at the building on Tuesday. He expected it to be a normal day, begin preparation for the Cincinnati Bengals. Instead, Mike Tomlin called him into the office. Things were said. He was relieved of his duties, and they moved forward. And now the Pittsburgh Steelers are marching on without an offensive coordinator, or at least without their initial offensive coordinator. They'll make running backs coach Eddie Faulkner their OC, and Mike Sullivan their quarterbacks coach, their play caller on Sundays. A duo, a tandem that I think works well. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers would like to see what Eddie Faulkner has to offer as an offensive coordinator, and I don't think he's the long-term plan for them right now. I just think that they want to give him an opportunity to showcase what he's capable of. His dreams in the NFL are to one day return to be an offensive coordinator like he was for a season at Ball State, I believe 9, maybe 10 years ago, long time now, but the Steelers want to give him that opportunity. Meanwhile, Mike Sullivan has play calling experience. He's a guy that the Pittsburgh Steelers will turn to. He has familiarity with Kenny Pickett. They work next or alongside each other for the last 2 seasons. That's the guy that you want in Kenny's ear during the game. Now, Mike Tomlin spoke. He had plenty to say. For the most part, it was everything that you expected to hear. It was a tough decision, and I got to say, this was the first time that I genuinely saw Mike Tomlin and went, man, he really is affected by this. He's feeling this one, because this can't be an easy decision. You know, Mike Tomlin is a guy who defends his guys through everything, and most times he's loyal to a fault. So when decisions like this need to be made, and they've really never been made in any of our lives, or at least most of our lives, for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the season, it's a tough spot to be in, and obviously he doesn't want to be the coach that has to break that mold and do it for the first time since 1941. But it happened, and the biggest takeaway, hands down, is that none of this affects Kenny Pickett. None of this is viewed any differently now. And in fact, I think it actually puts more pressure on the second-year quarterback to actually succeed in these last 7 games. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-4. They currently sit in the 7th seed in the AFC. They are a game and a half back from the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North. Everything is still on the table for this team, and without Matt Canada, there is one reason why they wouldn't succeed, and that reason is Kenny Pickett. And I look at this as a last-ditch effort to say, hey, look it, you have to get things going now. We have to try and fix Kenny. We have to try and give him any opportunity so that we could successfully evaluate him and decide moving into the offseason whether or not he is our quarterback. If he is, awesome. There are no worries. You build the rest of this team. You march on with Kenny as your QB. If he's not, man, there are options in this offseason. There are lots of them. Whether you want to go with the veteran like Kirk Cousins or a draft pick, the Steelers yesterday, I believe, before the Matt Canada news, were predicted to land Georgia's quarterback, I believe. But Michael Penix might be there. J.J. McCarthy might be there. There are names, and plenty of them. And in a deep quarterback class in the NFL draft, you're just going to sit around and you're going to go, we can't pass these guys up if we aren't certain about a quarterback, and our quarterback is the reason that we are losing. And right now, the offense and the quarterback were the reasons that the Pittsburgh Steelers were losing. So these last 7 games, nothing changes for Kenny Pickett. Mike Tomlin made it very simple. He's looking for 2 things out of his offense two things out of his quarterback moving forward. The first one is to win. He just wants to win ball games. But the second one is to score points. In the NFL, you got to score touchdowns. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not good at doing that. And Kenny Pickett has somehow found a way to go from fourth quarter Kenny to non-existent Kenny. And that's got to change. And to be truthful, I don't think fourth quarter Kenny is enough for the Pittsburgh Steelers to march into the offseason and say, well, we got a guy who could win in clutch situations. That's awesome. But Mike Tomlin also acknowledged that he'd like to win games a little bit easier than the team has been winning games. And he'd like to set his team up for victories before the final drives of games and maybe make life easier for everybody, especially the defense. Makes a lot of sense, and the Pittsburgh Steelers should think that way. And I don't know where all this came from. I don't know if Art Rooney sat Mike Tomlin down before the firing of Matt Canada and said, hey, look, this is where we are. This is where we need to be. It's getting a little ridiculous that we aren't there yet, and the pressure has to be a little bit higher. We may have to break our traditions and our molds, but we got to get to a winning organization. We got to figure out the offense. We got to figure out the quarterback situation. If that's the truth, if that's what happened, and again, I'm not sure that that's what happened. I've been told well more than one story on how this entire thing went down. But if Art Rooney got involved, if the pressure is really on Mike Tomlin and everybody else to figure this out, then the pressure is as high as it can get on Kenny Pickett. And without Matt Canada there, there are no more excuses on why Kenny cannot succeed. And people will say, oh, well, he lost his offensive coordinator. Now you can't judge him there. No, I don't believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to view it as that. I believe that they're going to view it as Kenny's got to turn it on in these last 7 games. Otherwise, we are cleaning house and we are going to try again with a new tandem, a new duo, a new quarterback offensive coordinator group that we can try and find some or any success with outside of the fourth quarter. I do believe that. So the pressure is on Kenny Pickett in this one. I don't know how he's going to bounce back. I personally believe that he'll take a little bit of a step forward just because he understands how tight the pressure is, how high the pressure is. I also think that the Steelers are going to rely on what they do best. That is the easiest thing to do right now, is for Eddie Faulkner and Mike Sullivan to come in on Wednesday and say, hey, look, this is what we do well. Let's focus on that. Let's try to win this ball game. And then next week, you focus on what you do well. You expand it a little bit. You try to win another ball game. I just think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to coast through the running game. They're going to allow Kenny Pickett to utilize play action. They're going to do a lot of things that this offense ignored for a long, long time. And maybe it works for Kenny Pickett. Maybe it's not enough for Kenny Pickett. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers care. They want their quarterback to succeed, but they're ready to find success. And they're not going to wait around forever to see if Kenny Pickett's the guy while the defense and everybody else around it just slowly diminishes. This is a new day for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a huge day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And while nobody ever wants to see anybody get fired in the NFL, and I get it, it's probably a positive for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but still sucks to know somebody lost their job. The Steelers are, they're going to make some changes, and they're going to do everything they can to find an offense. And that includes moving on from Kenny Pickett if he does not find success in the back half of the season.